The music was loud, the laughter louder, and the air smelled of roses and champagne. Couples danced gracefully across the floor, their joy echoing in the twinkling lights strung across the grand hall. In the middle of this celebration, at a corner table no one seemed to notice, sat a woman in a sleek black dress. Her hair was styled to perfection, her makeup flawless, and her eyes, though fierce and determined, hid a loneliness she couldn't disguise. She was the CEO of one of the largest firms in the city, a woman whose name commanded respect in boardrooms. But here, at her best friend's wedding, she felt invisible. Her wheelchair stood out like a quiet reminder of the accident that had changed everything. She smiled politely at passing guests, but no one lingered. No one asked her to dance. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the beauty of unexpected love, then please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. Your support helps spread messages that remind us we're never truly alone. Her name was Alina, and though she had conquered the corporate world, tonight she battled a different enemy, silence. Weddings had a way of magnifying what was missing in her life. She watched the bride and groom sway on the dance floor, their love so palpable that it hurt. She wasn't bitter, but deep inside she wondered if anyone would ever look at her that way again. Before the accident, she had dated, laughed, and dreamed of her own big day. But now, the men who once admired her confidence seemed to look past her, as if her wheelchair erased her worth. She sipped her glass of sparkling water, trying to appear content, when she noticed him. A tall man in a simple gray suit stood near the edge of the crowd, his little daughter clinging shyly to his leg. He didn't blend into the polished crowd either. His suit wasn't tailored, and his tie was slightly crooked, but there was something about him, an authenticity that caught her attention. His eyes scanned the room nervously, not for himself, but for the little girl who hid half behind him, clutching a small bouquet of flowers she had caught during the toss. Alina's lips curved into a genuine smile for the first time that evening. The man finally noticed her looking, and their eyes met. It wasn't a long stare, just a fleeting connection, but it was enough. Minutes later, as if courage suddenly found him, he walked toward her table. She braced herself, expecting the usual polite conversation, maybe even pity disguised as kindness. But what he said disarmed her completely. He asked, in a voice both nervous and sincere, if she would be his date for the rest of the night. His little daughter, he explained, wanted to dance, but was too shy to go onto the floor without someone she trusted. And since the man wasn't much of a dancer himself, he thought maybe this beautiful lady sitting alone could help. For a moment, Alina was speechless. No one had asked her to be their date since before the accident. Her instinct was to refuse, to protect herself from possible humiliation. But then she saw the little girl peeking up at her with wide, hopeful eyes, her tiny hands clutching the bouquet as if it were treasure. Something inside Alina softened. With a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, she said yes. The little girl squealed with delight, and the man, whose name she would soon learn was Daniel, helped wheel Alina toward the dance floor. At first she felt every eye on her, her heart racing with old fears. But when the little girl placed her tiny hands on Alina's and began to sway to the music, the world melted away. The three of them laughed awkwardly at first, then more freely, until it felt less like strangers sharing a moment and more like a family rediscovering joy. Daniel told her bits of his story as the night went on. He was a single father, raising his daughter after his wife had passed away 2 years ago. Life hadn't been easy, but he worked hard as a carpenter to provide for his little girl. He didn't speak of his hardships with bitterness, only with honesty. Alina listened, moved by his resilience. She found herself sharing her own truth, the accident, the loneliness, the fear of being defined by her wheelchair. She expected his expression to change, to flicker with discomfort, but instead, his gaze held steady, filled with respect she hadn't felt in years. As the evening stretched on, Alina realized something rare was happening. She wasn't just being seen, she was being understood. Daniel didn't see her as a CEO or a woman in a wheelchair or someone broken. He saw her as a woman, as a person with dreams and laughter and warmth to give. The little girl fell asleep in his arms by the end of the night, and as Alina watched him cradle her with such tenderness, she felt something stir in her heart that had been buried. Too long hope? The wedding ended, the music faded, but the connection did not. Daniel insisted on walking her out, pushing her wheelchair gently as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Under the moonlit sky, with the soft glow of fairy lights behind them, he looked at her and simply said, "Thank you for saying yes." She smiled, realizing that maybe it wasn't just his daughter who needed someone that night. Maybe he had too, and maybe, just maybe, she did as well. In the days that followed, they exchanged messages. What began as polite check-ins turned into long conversations, filled with laughter, vulnerability, and the kind of honesty people rarely share in the beginning. Alina found herself looking forward to every call, every text. Daniel's daughter sent her drawings, always with three figures holding hands. Slowly, Alina's world began to feel less like a fortress of independence and more like a home waiting to be built. It wasn't a fairy tale with instant happily ever afters. There were doubts, insecurities, and moments of hesitation. But step by step, heart to heart, they began building something real. Alina discovered that love didn't look the way she once imagined it would, but perhaps that was the beauty of it. It arrived when she least expected, through the kindness of a little girl and the courage of a man who dared to ask a simple question. And so, the woman who sat alone at a wedding, believing love had passed her by, found herself saying yes not just to a dance, but to a new beginning. It wasn't the wheelchair that defined her, nor her position as CEO. It was her heart, and now, she had found someone who could see it clearly. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others who may need a reminder that love and kindness can appear when we least expect them, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that inspire. Your support helps keep these stories alive, reminding us all that no one is truly invisible, and everyone deserves a second chance at happiness.